Hello again, I am Jim Bob. Welcome back to another episode of Big Bud Farm. And today we're going to be earning a little bit of cash while we're waiting for our crops to finalise. If we take a look at the crop page, we have fully fertilised fields 1 and 5. 1 took an absolute eternity to do with the weeder, but it was essentially free minus the cost of the wages. Rather than paying out quite a lot in solid fertiliser to do it. So it's put a fair few hours on our little voucher to do that, and obviously our weeder as well, but it's worked out quite well. This is all that needs to be done now, is just to put the final stage of fertiliser here on this particular field, our first ever crop of sugar beets. So we're going to get the worker started on this, and he's going to fertilise his field for us. Hopefully. There we go. And we are going to do a little bit of logging today, because it's been a little while since we did any real logging of any real description, any real amount. So you can see we've got a few logs piled onto our tree, onto our trailer just there, but got quite a few trees here that need to be sort of cut down and processed. So we are going to deal with those. Let's see. Turn the help window on so I can check what my cut size is. It's still set to 8 meters. Good. So we're going to cut down a load of logs, build them up into a pile, get them loaded onto the trailer, try and raise a bit of cash. What I want to do is the next kind of purchase for the farm is I want to be able to buy a sprayer, a large sprayer unit, and so for that I'm looking at the Amazon Pantera. It's around 250,000, and as you can see at the moment we have, let's see, what, 87 and a bit, and I think I've got about 5,000 euros on my loan left as well. Not a lot, if anything at all. In fact, even that might be gone as well. So basically the only money we have is the money that you see in the top right corner of the screen. That's pretty much it. And I've just noticed it's actually in euros. It should be in dollars. That's left over from Friday's episode of Fent Farm. The series has now come to a close. Fent Farm is no more. It's now going to be sort of on hiatus, waiting for the West Coast to come out. Hopefully we're not too far away from that now. I know it's been pinging back and forth from testing an awful lot over the last couple of weeks, and Giants have been helping Bullet Bill try and figure out all of those little texture issues and material issues that have been causing all the faults in testing. And when it actually appeared in testing for the first time again in a while on Thursday, that's the first time it's actually been in testing long enough to actually stay in the list. Normally it goes in and it kind of fails pretty quickly and isn't added into the list for the forum thread. Not to say that it hasn't been getting into testing, it has, but it's usually failed so quickly because of a particular issue that it's never made the list. It went into the list again on Thursday and was still there on Friday, so that's kind of a good sign, I think. It's a good indication that they are starting to get more on top of the issues surrounding that map, so hopefully we'll actually see that being released maybe next week if we're lucky, you know, if they manage to get all of those issues kind of resolved. We just have to sort of play the waiting game on that one. But we do have a nice little flurry of maps that are really kind of potentially making their way over. I mean, we have obviously the West Coast, and I'm waiting on that one so I can run 2 different Let's Plays, Fent Farm and Massey Manor. We also have coming up probably sometime around mid to late November, I'm guessing. We also have Black Sheep's The Valley, the Old Farm, which is also looking like a cracking map. Really looking forward to getting my hands on that one. Plus we have Farming Legend that's been popping in and out of testing. It's not currently in testing right now that I'm aware of. Actually, I think it still might be. I think that one might still be in testing. Looking forward to seeing that map, because that actually looks like it could be a lot of fun to play on. We also have a new map that's kind of popped up recently, and that's Who Dare Ranch. A very interesting name. It's the latest sort of creation from Something in My Shoe 2. He's had that map sort of kind of ready to go for a little while, and when he initially started posting about it on the forums, it was the map with no name. And somebody in the comments in the forum decided to call it, suggested it would be called Who Dare. Can't say I'm a huge fan of the name myself personally, but for some reason it kind of tickled Chew and he decided to go with it, so that is the name that was given to No Name Ranch. It's now Who Dare Ranch. That has been through testing once. It's not currently in testing that I'm aware of, so it looks as though it's failed on its first attempt and is being reworked. But we do have some interesting screenshots from that map. There's a photo bucket album from Something in My Shoe, which has got, I think, 18 various images from around the map in it. No screenshots of the map itself, no sort of view of the PDA of the map, so we don't have an overview shot yet. But we do have, obviously, as I say, a lot of different scenic shots from around the map. And also on my YouTube page, not my YouTube page, sorry, my Facebook page, I have a 12-minute video of the train doing a complete loop around that map. It does have a train running on it, an operable train, and it's just the one train running on a track that loops all the way around and throughout the map. So it takes several minutes. As you'll see on that video, it takes several minutes to do a complete loop on one line before it then ends up crossing over and looping back on itself on the other side. So it's all one connected line, although it does look like there are two lines. It is one single connected line. So, like I said, a 12-minute video which showed the train sort of touring the map there. If you haven't seen that already, then I do recommend you check it out. It does look as though it's going to be another flat map, in the same way that Mustang Valley and American Outback are flat maps. So it doesn't look like there's going to be much in the way of terrain on the map itself, although I might be wrong. I mean, it's hard to tell from the limited kind of view of the surrounding terrain that we get on the video. We only see mainly the train itself, and we get to see little bits of scenery here and there, and little bits of fields in the background, but it does look like it might be a flat map. I don't really mind that too much, but obviously I know that is a problem for some people, that they prefer there to be some sort of elevation changes in the ground that they work. So that might not be to everyone's taste, but I like the look of what I've seen in terms of the video and the photos that are available. It does look like it's quite a nice map to play on. It looks like it's going to be quite a big map as well. Really looking forward to actually getting a PDA shot, so I can see exactly how those fields are laid out. So hopefully that is not too far away from us being able to see what the actual map itself does look like. It's not been released on PC yet, to the best of my knowledge either. It's something that's only going to be sort of released simultaneously on PC and console. And because it's a map by Shoe, it is a map that will have been built with console users very much in mind, so don't expect lots of funky additional scripting in the PC version. If you are a PC user, odds are, like American Outback and like Mustang Valley, it will have exactly the same features on both PC and computer versions. And then, of course, we have the Platinum expansion map. That's now, what, 7 weeks away until Platinum comes out. We've got 1 week or so left of September. Then we've got all of October, and then 2 weeks of November before it comes out. So we're very close now. We'll say about just over 7 weeks away from the release of the Platinum expansion, and we'll have that new map that South American themed map to play on as well as that new equipment as well, and a new crop type. So there's quite a lot of stuff coming out, map-wise for Farming Simulator that has definitely got my attention, and it's good because we've had a little bit of a lull recently, a little bit of a halt in map releases on console, and it's ironic, given how many maps we have this time around on console compared to 15 when we had just the 2 maps, and then later a 3rd map from Giants when they did their gold expansion. It almost seems stupid of me to say that the selection of maps that we have now has become a little bit stale and a little bit boring, but I've been playing this game an awful lot more than I have on than I did with 15, simply because there is so much more variety. It's kept my interest going, and I'm obviously doing Let's Plays, which I wasn't doing 2 years ago when Farming Sim 15 was out. So I'm processing through a lot more sort of gameplay, a hell of a lot more gameplay than I was on 15. I'd already got bored of 15 within a few months of it being out, and kind of stopped playing it for a little while, and then the expansion came out and I started playing it again, and I kind of played it solidly for about a month and then kind of stopped playing it again, and then went back to it again after a few months and played it a bit more, and it always felt frustrating that we only had the 3 maps to play on. Now we have considerably more maps to play on, and so I've been playing an awful lot more. I've been playing this game every single day well, not every single day, but almost every single day since it came out. In some cases just for little short bits here and there, in other cases quite a lot of hours working on either a personal project or working on a recording. Just in terms of getting this map prepped, I've put 6 hours in between the 2 episodes, from last episode to this episode, and we got sugar beets, and I didn't see how long that demand is for. So I'm going to have to check the footage in a minute and find out whether or not those beets that we got will go into storage, or whether we're going to sell them straight away. That is something I'll definitely have to check in a minute. So I'm going to carry on cutting down the rest of these trees in front of us and piling up the logs. I'm also going to check the footage in between sort of segments as well, and then when we fade back in, these trees here will all be cut down, stacked up and ready to start piling up, and I'll actually know how long that great demand was for as well. So I will see you in just a moment. So we have a nice big pile of trees, all freshly cut. You can see that we've cleared out this side entirely now. And as before, we're going to have quite a lot of these kind of small, thin bits that are going to cause some issues in terms of loading and aren't really going to be worth much. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to stack them up like we did last time, and use these for chipping, so that we can just slowly add to our little pile of wood chips that we have going on towards the back of this compound. I'm also considering getting in one of the new old shed packages that went live on Friday as well. There are 2 different packages. One is kind of not really worth it for us, which is the log selling points. Obviously we're going with big stuff on this farm, so we bought in the big BSM trailer, which holds 2 separate stacks of 8-meter long lengths. And we're using the Scorpion, and we're cutting down nice big tree sections to fill that trailer up. The old shed that you can sell logs at can only sell up to 5 meters in length. So all of this stuff that we cut down here, we would have to take directly to the sawmill. And I'd just rather do that with the logs. However, there is a separate old shed which is designed purely just for wood chips, as a wood chip sell point, and that we could potentially stick in down here. Although it is quite big, it would take up quite a lot of space, and it's quite expensive as well. It's nearly $80,000, so it's not cheap at all. Plus, it's not really that far to go to sell the wood chips that we at the sawmill either. So maybe instead of having a big expensive placeable, we could maybe, if we decide to do have a wood chip placeable down here, we could just put in a different wood chipper. I am toying with the idea of perhaps getting rid of the wood chipper that we have right now and getting the one that sells directly to the sawmill. I haven't really used that much before. It's a fixed placeable, so once it goes down, that's it. It can't really be moved. It can only be sold and then bought again to place a second time somewhere else. But that's something that we could perhaps look at. I'll have to have a think about that as we go on. But I think there's one hiding in there. Look, see if I can get all of these little mini logs out. Come on, gotcha. See if I can actually lift this out without causing any major issues. There we go. I should get it. I can turn it and drop it on the pile. And the reason I'm stacking these up like this is it'll make it easier to grab them with the logging claw afterwards. Just got one or two more left on this pile here, and then we can move on to the next pile and grab all the small logs from that, and then everything that's left over will be stuck on the back of the trailer and taken down and sold. In fact, I think I'm working on a separate pile here, aren't I? Yeah, that's the pile that I've just cleared out. So this is a separate pile, so I thought it was a bit odd. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to carry on sort of pulling out all these small pieces here, getting all these sort of positioned and stacked, and then we'll get these chipped, and then the rest of them we'll start loading onto our BSM timber trailer and drag those down and sell those at our sawmill. So I will see you in just a moment. So we've got all the little mini logs loaded up just there in a pile. It's time to sort of scoop as many of them as we can. It's times like this, maybe a larger claw would come in handy, but we still can pick up quite a few quite comfortably using this smaller Biobelts claw. Plus this is a little bit more precise, I find, for just general everyday operation. Tends to hold the logs a lot better. Of course, with so many small thin logs like this fighting against each other, you're going to see them wobbling and jiggling about in the claw anyway. That's kind of unavoidable. Let's see if we can load these directly into the chipper. Without them falling out the other end. Yeah, it's not really worked, has it? Alright, let's get this thing turned on. Let's get it unloading here. Hopefully that should start chipping and unloading. That one single log. Not expecting these to generate much at all in the way of wood chips, if any. Some of these will, some of them won't. You know, when you have wood this thin, and then invariably a lot of it doesn't actually do anything as it goes through a chipper, but it's worth very little as an actual log, so literally just a few dollars because we're on hard. So I might as well just go for it and let's chop these up into smaller pieces, perhaps. Some of these bits might actually disappear completely. All I need is just enough to be able to kind of push these in a little bit, like so. Get them to bite. There we go. We should hopefully start seeing some logs. Right, that's some chips being produced, and yes, they are being unloaded. Good. So we are making some progress. That was a particularly good throw. Go. There's a few pieces thrown on there, so that'll help. And let's get this unloading here as well. There we go. So you can see we don't have a huge pile of wood chips. This is just the little bits that we've been taking off the top of those trees, and that's everything that we have here. So let's go pick up some more of those and get chipping away at the rest of them. So after a couple of disastrous attempts to actually get some logs loaded in this way, I figured it was easier to just dump them in a pile to the side and be done with it that way. So let's see if I can force feed some of these up through the chipper. Might get lucky. And once I can get a few of these moving, it might actually pull some of these other ones in there as well. See, some of them are trying to find their way through. Others are just quite a little bit out of range. Let's just drag those in. There we go. As far as these one goes, it's going to be easy to just pick these up and drop them in. Need to get these ones out of the way first, though, by the look of it. Some of these do actually feel really long. They feel a lot longer than sort of 8 meters. This one I'm just going to cut. If I can find the right point. There we go. One thing I do hope with the new shoe map, Houdet Ranch, is that we do get something that's slightly more stable on the frame rates. I have found that I do get quite bad lag or frame rate drops on on Big Bud Farm and also on American Outback. And I did notice an awful lot of flickering and texture problems with Golden Days of Farming, which is one of the reasons why I decided not to actually do anything on that map. Plus, I don't know what it is about that map, but I think it's just the way the fields are laid out. I like to have that kind of freedom to choose how my fields are kind of developed. And with them all spaced out so much, it's the same with Hagenstedt. It was a map I thought I'd really enjoy playing on. But the more I tried to play on it, the more I found that I didn't get on with the way the fields were laid out. There was no real opportunity to put a lot of customizing into the map. Really make it feel like my own. What am I stood on? My trailer. And because of that, I just didn't really end up doing that much on those farms, which is a shame because, they were laid out reasonably nicely, but just the fields just felt too inflexible for my liking. I like the I like to get in there and actually plough fields together and combine them and resculpt them in some cases, and there just wasn't really any major opportunity to do that. I mean, even on Hagenstedt, some of those opportunities are a lot more limited than they look like at first glance, because you can't really take out some roads. You kind of need them for access to get to other parts of the map or other nearby fields. And there's so much storage dotted all over the place that you can't really create the feel of a second farm anywhere on that map, because there's just so much storage just dotted all over that map that it just doesn't make a second base feel that important when you can have equipment stored next to almost every single field. You know, it's a shame in some respects. But I tried those maps, and for whatever reason I just couldn't get on with them. And yeah, because of the way the fields were laid out and the lack of being able to really sort of expand some of the ground the way I wanted to. But I'm hoping that I say Who Dat Who Dare will have a much smoother kind of frame rate experience, because I really like this farm. I've had a lot of fun on it, and yeah, there's not really much scope for customizing because it's there's so few fields to work with. But as you can see, I mean, we've been using the space between the fields quite effectively. We've created this forest here, which has been a lot of fun to A, build, and B, work in. We've just created our beet compound in the previous episode, and that's still unfinished. We've got more stuff to put in there once I can afford to spend another load of cash on it. There's other things that I'd like to get first, like as I say, an Amazon, a Pantera. So that even though you can't really do much with the fields themselves, there's scope to do stuff around the fields. And there isn't huge, massive extra storage dominating the rest of the map. We've got a couple of potential locations that are kind of marked out. We've got that sort of little brown storage area potential up there. Well, actually, that's above this here. It's the other side of those hedges, I think. Plus, we also have obviously the kind of depot at the bottom of Field 1, which we've added silos to, and farm building, and that's kind of cool. That there's still enough space in there to actually do a little bit of customizing in there and make things our own to a degree. But I'm really hopeful that the frame rate will be a little bit more improved on that map, because like I said, I've had so much fun on this map, and I really enjoy American Outback as well. That those were my only real big concerns with that map going forward. Is that it's not going to be a smooth experience some of the time. It's going to be a bit rough and a bit jerky. And you notice it when you play, and you notice it when you watch back the recording footage as well, and it just doesn't make it look as good as I think it could do, and that's a little bit of a shame. But fingers crossed that won't be as much of an issue on the next map. So we've almost done with all of these wood chips now, or at least all of these chipping pieces. They're almost finished. So let's get this last little bit done. This is the last one. And there we go. Beautiful. So as that goes through, say we don't really have a huge pile of wood chips there, but it's something. It's better than nothing, and if we do ever get a great demand for wood chips, then we've got at least something we can sell to kind of capitalise on that. That's finished, so let's turn that off. And let's turn off the forced unloading on this belt as well. Alright, now all that's left is to load up the rest of the logs that are here and then grind out the stumps, and this side is going to be ready for replanting. So we're going to have to move those wood chips in the near future. But for now, I've got a lot of logs here that need to be loaded onto the trailer. Plus we're going to need to bring our truck up. How is our fertilising doing? That should be finished by now, surely. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, that's done. Let's just check the map, make sure it's not missed any spots. So it has done in the past. It's a little bit wonky down there. And I think that might be where we damaged the crop. You know, I said that I was worried that I damaged the crop, and you can see the there's a thin line there, look. You can see that's where I was driving over it when I'd planted it. I think that's there. You see what I mean about the juddering as well, look. I think that's what's caused the issue there. That's why we've got those thin strips. If I pull alongside one and park up, yeah, that's exactly what it is. So we can't fertilise beyond stage 1 by the look of it, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's not too bad. It's only little thin bits here and there. It just means that we are going to have to be very careful going forward when it comes to working the sugar beets. We're going to have to make sure that we use narrow tyres at all times, even even when they've just been planted, or else we're going to damage the crop bed and not be able to fertilise it fully. So a little bit of crop destruction coming into play there before we've even got crops to destroy. So let's get this put away. All of our fields are now fully fertilised, so we can kind of speed time up a bit, and obviously we've got all those logs to kind of shift as well. So I will get this put away, and then I'll start stacking some logs, and then I will see you in just a moment. That's the first little pile complete, and coincidentally it's also the first half of the trailer complete as well. Just drop this one in here, and then I'll be tying down this first stack of logs. I'll get it to drop in. There we go. Nestled in perfectly. So let's tie these ones down. There we go. One nice big stack of cash loaded up there. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, that's the second half of the trailer all tied down. Trouble is, I'm not sure whether I accidentally did it, but the trailer seems to have pivoted. And I've now got to try and get the truck in here. So that should be quite interesting. Let's find our truck. There it is. Oh, it's still got the other trailer attached, isn't it? I forgot about that. So we'll drop this off at the farm on the way back. Oops. A little bit of a bobble there. But yeah, I really do like this Oshkosh trailer. This is brilliant. Really, really works well. The only thing it doesn't have is a tie-down feature for vehicles. That would be you know, really, really awesome if it did. I don't think it can tie down pallets either. I'm not entirely sure. We'll check that in just a second. I'll drop it just here. Let's just jump out and have a look. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have any tie-down straps at all. But you know, vehicles, if they're big, you know, the big ones at least, you know, are pretty heavy, so they tend to stay on that thing. Unless you really sort of have a fast, tight turn or hit a big bump, you know, as long as you're not moving too fast. If you're moving at kind of more realistic speeds, then stuff tends to stay reasonably well planted. Especially the bigger stuff because it's heavier, so it just stays planted that little bit more. It's a good size. And there's all that's left of our forest. The first half of it is gone. We've actually chopped down one half of it completely now. I'm toying with the idea of replanting that half before I start work on the second half, but I may just work on the second half as well and then just replant the whole thing. It'll give me the opportunity to make a couple of little tweaks inside before I do end up cutting down or replanting. Maybe add some more grass patches in there. It's a little threadbare in places. Also maybe resculpt this pathway a little bit here to have a second loading bay a little bit further down perhaps. But yeah, here comes the tricky bit, trying to get this truck in here. I'm going to negotiate it through all of these trees. It's definitely going to be a little bit trickier than I would like. It's really tight, this. I don't know if I can get the right angle. There we go. That should do it. There we go, hooked up. Can I get through without having to move the mini Massey? I don't think I can. But we'll try. Oh, just scrape through there. So let's go drop these off. Let's make about 50,000 or so, I reckon, from this trailer. I think that's what we got last time we did a full trailer. Let's get the beacons on. That's an awful lot of logs, and a lot of them, as you can see, are really quite thick logs as well. And there's that sort of brown patch area that I was talking about earlier that we could potentially put some kind of storage onto. Oh, don't go, fight. Oh, that was close. Took it just a little bit too fast and just about managed to stop it from going over there. I think the extra length of the truck's wheelbase helped there as well. If there'd have been a truck with a shorter wheelbase, if that had been our little twin star or a man truck, I don't think we'd have stood a chance there. Right, so let's undo the straps, fold down, and there we go. Yeah, somewhere around 50,000 in logs, just over 50,000 by the look of it. Maybe 53, 54,000. That's not bad at all. And we still have another whole stack of logs that need to be shifted as well. So I'm going to carry on sort of working logs in the background, and in the next episode when you come back, hopefully we'll have enough money to be able to buy the sprayer, but at the very least our crops will be ready and we'll be able to do some harvesting. I did check the footage, by the way, and that great demand was a 12-hour great demand, so we have until 10 o'clock at night to get everything kind of done and ready. And the crops will be ready way before then. So let's see what kind of price we're looking at. That's not good. It's not great, is it? $166 per 1,000 litres. That's pretty low. But I mean, you look in comparison to the other prices, 96 and 107. It's obviously a lot better. But it's not a stellar price, is it? I wonder how many beets we'll end up with. We shall find out the answer to these questions in the next part. So thanks for watching. I'm Jim Bob, and I will see you back on Big Bud Farm again next week.